Hello, friends. I am your host, Matt Gore, and welcome back to the History Revolution podcast. The purpose of the History Revolution is to help homeschool parents teach their children American history. Today, we're heading to the sandy shores of North Carolina for the Siege of Fort Macon, a tense Civil War battle that was all about control of a stubborn little fort. It's a story about strategy and bravery. But before we dive in, I want to take this opportunity to introduce our brand new free ebook about our founding fathers called Behind the Wigs: The Untold Stories of America's Founding Fathers. Did I mention it's free? The link to the book is in the description. Now let's step into the past to learn about an important moment in American history: the Siege of Fort Macon. First, let's set the stage. It's early 1862, and the United States is deep in the Civil War. The northern states, called the Union, are fighting the southern states, called the Confederacy, over big issues, one being slavery, and whether the country should stay one nation. Picture America like a giant puzzle, with half the pieces trying to break off and form their own picture. North Carolina is one of those Confederate states, and it's got a key spot on the coast: Fort Macon, a brick fortress sitting on a skinny island near Beaufort. Now, Fort Macon is no beach resort. Think thick walls, big cannons, and a perfect view of the Atlantic Ocean. It guards a harbor where ships come in, making it super important for trade and defense. It's like the front gate to North Carolina, and the Union wants to lock it up tight to choke off Confederate supplies. The Confederacy, though, isn't giving it up without a fight. It's like two kids arguing over who gets to hold the remote control, except with cannons and way higher stakes. So who's in charge at Fort Macon? The Confederates have about 400 soldiers led by Colonel Moses White. He's a determined guy, probably pacing the fort's walls, muttering, "No Yankees are getting my fort." His men are tough, but running low on food and gunpowder. Imagine trying to fight with only half a sandwich and a sparkler. They do have 54 cannons, though. On the Union side, we've got General Ambrose Burnside. Not a superhero, but a general with a plan. He's leading thousands of Northern troops, plus ships and cannons, aiming to take North Carolina's coast. He thinks that Fort Macon is their ticket to winning in the South. He sends a small team of about 1,600 soldiers under General John Parke to surround the fort. Now, here's a funny bit. Parke's men have to slog through marshes and sand dunes to get there. Imagine slipping in mud while carrying a backpack full of cannonballs. Not exactly a day at the beach. The siege starts in March 1862. Now, a siege isn't a one-day battle. It's like a long chess game where one side traps the other and waits them out. Parke's Union troops set up camp around Fort Macon, digging trenches and hauling in huge cannons called mortars that can lob shells over walls like tossing a dodgeball. They cut off the fort supplies so the Confederates inside can't get fresh food or help. It's like when your sibling blocks the kitchen door so you can't sneak a cookie. Very frustrating. April 25th, 1862, things heat up. The Union starts bombarding the fort with cannons from land and ships offshore. Boom! Shells fly like angry seagulls, smashing into Fort Macon's walls. The Confederates fire back, their cannons roaring loud enough to scare every fish in the ocean. The battle is intense. Bricks crumble, fires spark, and smoke is so thick that you can barely see. Inside the fort, Colonel White's men are struggling. They're outnumbered, their cannons aren't hitting much, and Union shells keep pounding closer. One magazine, where they store gunpowder, nearly blows up when a shell hits too close. After about 11 hours of this, White realizes they can't hold out. The fort's walls are cracking like a sandcastle at high tide, and his men are exhausted. On April 26, White raises a white flag. It's time to talk. He meets with Park and agrees to surrender. The Union takes over Fort Macon, and the 400 Confederates march out as prisoners. Though most get to go home later on a kind of promise not to fight again deal. Here's the surprising part, though. Almost nobody dies. A few soldiers do get hurt, and one of the Union guys passes away, but for such a loud, combative battle, it's pretty calm. Way better than you could expect. So why does the Siege of Fort Macon matter? It's not the biggest Civil War battle, but it's a big win for the Union. Taking Fort Macon gives them control of North Carolina's coast, letting their ships block Confederate trade, like putting a close sign on the South's front door. It also boosts Union morale, showing that they can win even far away from home. For the Confederacy, it's a tough loss, like losing your favorite game piece right when you're starting to catch up. Fort Macon would go on to serve as a military prison for over a decade. The fort was also refitted and actively used during the Spanish-American War and World War II. Today, Fort Macon is an excellent North Carolina state park that you can visit. Imagine walking those old walls, spotting cannon marks, and hearing the ocean roar. It's a reminder of how hard both sides fought and how even small battles shape the Civil War's big picture. It makes you think about what it means to stand your ground or know when to give it up. All right, homeschoolers, let's wrap this up with a challenge. Imagine you're a soldier at Fort Macon, Union or Confederate, and you're writing a letter home during the siege. What would you say about the battle, the fort, or how you're feeling? Draw it, write it, or talk it over with your family. I'd love to know your ideas. The Siege of Fort Macon was a small fight with a big impact, showing how strategy and stubbornness played out by the sea. Thank you, friends, for joining me on this journey back in time to an important Civil War battle that took place in North Carolina. Now, don't forget to check out our brand new free ebook about our founding fathers called Behind the Wigs, The Untold Stories of America's Founding Fathers. If you're watching on YouTube and you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. God bless you all, and see you again next week.